Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. And then, as I mentioned, we're sort of tangentially in the Marvel world with Chris Hemsworth's new movie, Spiderhead, also starring Miles Teller and Jurnee Smollett. What did you think of this one?
Can we just take a moment to reflect on Miles Teller, how good he is at the moment? Also, wasn't the director of this movie the director of Top Gun? I think
maybe
Spiderhead director. I think I read that before when I was just planning stuff. Joseph Kosinski. I'm pretty sure he did Top Gun as well. But yeah, he did. There you go.
See, now who's the big brain man?
Yeah. I found this movie was a good movie to watch without, like, I thought when I saw like the trailer for it, I thought it'd be very intense and very like full on. You kind of just coast through the movie and like there's no like heaps deeper meaning. It's just kind of one of those movies you enjoyably can watch and just like, yeah, I don't know. Plus Chris Hemsworth being serious. Please, you're a funny guy. Stick to what you're good at. You're not Adam Sandler who could pivot and be serious.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I enjoyed this movie. It was very sort of Black Mirror-esque, but yeah, it didn't reach the heights that I expected based on that trailer. Like with Black Mirror, like there are episodes that go and take it to like a level that you don't expect, and they really push the boundaries. This one was kind of like, we're getting there, but then we kind of just move on to the next thing. Like especially like the scene where they're giving the N40, the love drug. Like they push it right to a point and then that's it. Like it doesn't go beyond that where you're like, oh geez, that's excessive. And then even the when they give the dark influx, like it gets pretty intense, but you kind of expect it to go a little bit further.
Yeah.
So, it's based on a short story by George Saunders called Escape from Spiderhead, which was originally in the New Yorker, which I didn't realize, but when I saw the New Yorker in the opening credits as like a producer, I was like, the New Yorker is making movies now? Like that seems random, but
yeah.
So yeah, it's all about this like near future prison / hospital / medicine testing facility where Chris Hemsworth plays Steve Abnesti, who's basically just like this genius medicine manufacturer who makes some deal with like the prison system where he'll take prisoners off their hands and give the prisoners like somewhat freedom in exchange for putting these little like injection pack things on their back that they control with a mobile phone app and can just increase the amount of specific experimental drugs that have crazy impacts, like the N40. If you're in the same room as another person, like you immediately fall in love with that person. But if you're outside just looking at like the view, it like weirds out your vision. Like instead of seeing industrial manufacturing plants, you see like this nice bright sunshine and this really like happy view, and you're just like, oh, everything looks beautiful, but like really it's just like smog and factories. Like,
I must have that drug in me because like the amount of times I'm walking and I see a girl and I fall in love with her, like I just wish she had it in her as well.
What did you think of the couple of scenes where they are testing out the N40 on Miles Teller, and who else did they test it on? Tess Harbaugh as Heather, Angie Milliken as Sarah, and then Nathan Jones as Rogan.
I don't know. I like when they were doing all the testing, I was watching it. I'm kind of just like looking away, watching. Like there was a few things about this movie that I didn't really enjoy, and I just thought like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they rushed the movie out because they knew about Top Gun or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought Miles Teller was definitely like the standout of the movie. Like Chris Hemsworth was decent, but yeah, as you said, like it just feels a bit weird him trying to be like this serious, like conniving, sinister guy. Like he doesn't exude that at all.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Like it'll be interesting seeing what he's doing with Thor, because I think there's going to be a feud like they're going to explore Thor maybe being like gay or bi or whatever. So like that'll be that. I think he's good with that. Like he'll be good with that. But like him being a serious guy, I was like, this is not you. Like I don't know. I don't know. I think the timing of this movie, because I think they knew they had the Top Gun director, they had Miles Teller, who's obviously blowing up with it, and they knew that was coming out. And then Thor's coming out next month, so it's literally come out like in the middle.
Yeah,
so Netflix has probably
in
been
between.
like, we've got the three main players of like this stuff. It'd be like if when Avatar came out and then James Cameron had something planned for the next month and they just released it. Like the timing was really good for Netflix, but I just don't think it was there.
Yeah, and I think obviously basing it on a short story as well, like a short story could be like the most amazing short story of all time, but to expand that out into a full-length feature film, like you're going to have to fill in some gaps and try and flesh things out, and I don't know if they achieved that. Like the skeleton is definitely there for a cool story, but there's obviously parts missing.
Maybe Disney could have made it into a 6-part TV show series, 15-minute episodes each.
Yeah, about 15 minutes. That would have been enough.
Yeah.
I did like the little Nathan Jones cameo. Like I always get a little bit excited when he pops up. I'm like, hey, he used to be a wrestler. That's cool. But I did notice in that scene where they give him the N40 with Miles Teller, or they ask if they're allowed to give them that, and they both like, no. He's reading a book titled The 10th of December, which is the book by George Saunders that has Escape from Spiderhead short story in it. So like, that's a cool little like touch without being like in your face.
Yeah, of course.
And what did you think of like the injection packs too? Like I thought they were like a really cool little thing, and I loved the setting the trap for when they do that experiment with the N40 and Miles Teller and the girls. He's like, oh yeah, be careful, like don't touch their packs because they're pretty sensitive and they can flood if you like shake them up too much. And then later in the movie, like that comes back as a payoff. I was like, as soon as it happened, I picked up on it. I was watching it with my mum.
Yeah.
She was like, what is going on? I'm like, they warned about this ages ago.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. As soon as something like you watch a movie and like, as soon as they said that starting, I was like, oh, I wonder why they're saying this. And then as soon as it happened, I was like, like they try to be subtle, but I don't know.
I did like the little like twist of Chris Hemsworth's character also having one in his back. At which point I was like, if you're going to be like the guy that is controlling this, and maybe get it put in a different spot that's a little bit more accessible so you can put your own meds in there. Or if something goes wrong, you can actually do something about it. Like he's just kind of like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense though that he had it like in him as well, because obviously he's the one that came up with all the drugs, whatever, and he'd probably be using it or like need it for himself. So those kind of things, it's kind of like, oh yeah, nice. It's I don't know, kind of falling back to Stranger Things, what happens towards the end of that. You kind of see these things and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I assume it's on their back because it has to like go directly into their spine or something, but you'd think it would just need to go into their bloodstream. So it was a weird thing, but I guess it serves the story to be in a spot that he can't reach. But I did like that he kind of just becomes somewhat of a drug addict, like just playing with the fun drugs, like the lay on the bed, give myself a bunch of N40 and just like look at the roof and be the happiest man alive. Or then when him and Miles Teller are sitting down having a conversation and a drink, they're just like giving themselves the laughing drug and like, Of course, the leader of this crazy medical organization has just turned himself into a drug addict for his own drugs.
Gives him all the good perks of it.
But yeah, like I said, like the Black Mirror-esque stuff where it turns out like the whole reasoning behind it was not to test these dozen or so other drugs, like the laughing drug, the dark influx where people become terrified, the phobia one where the girl gets like, she's terrified of a stapler. Like it wasn't really to test all those, it was to test the drug that they're given at the very start where it makes them just obedient and compliant. That was a cool twist at the end, but I thought they could have, like I said, with Black Mirror, like pushed it to an extreme where they kind of don't. It kind of just ends in, it's like, oh, they escaped and Chris Hemsworth got what was coming to him in the end. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. It was a funny way they killed him, though.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, the movie just seemed, as I said, like very underwhelming, like kind of just ended and you're like, oh, okay, like, all right, that's done now.
Yeah, I think that's like sort of the response I've seen online too. People were like, I was really excited for this movie, but then it kind of just didn't go as far as I was expecting. And you kind of watch it and you're like, it was satisfying. Like, I don't feel ripped off by watching it, but I feel like it could have done a lot more and could have been a lot more enjoyable. Yeah,
definitely.
I did like that it was all filmed here in Australia though, and apparently Chris Hemsworth has said like he wants to do a lot more filming here rather than back over in the States, so that's exciting.
I mean, with his mansion property that he has in Byron, of course he'd want to stay here. Also, he took Miles Teller to his mum's birthday dinner. Imagine that. Just having Miles Teller coming to your dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially if she didn't know. Like, oh yeah, here he is.
Yeah.
Another famous celebrity.
Yeah.
With all the Hemsworth boys, I can go.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got some good government funding for this movie, so a little bit disappointing that they didn't really put that money to use to make something super exciting. Like they got $21.5 million from the Australian government, split between this movie and I can't remember if it's a series or another movie called Pieces of Her. And it was basically the Australian government trying to inject money into the entertainment industry to basically snag movie production away from Canada during COVID.
Yeah.
Which, good on them. Like, they probably made a bunch of jobs and stuff in Queensland out of this.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, well, Queensland. And then they based, like, Marvel as well was at Fox Studios. So, like, yeah, they obviously got some jobs and stuff from it, and they took advantage of, I guess, like the COVID situation, which is good of them. But yeah, I wish it was a good movie. But hopefully Thor will be good. So that's at least good.
Yep. And I did see the director did say he is excited to sort of do more filming in Australia because in Queensland, like, you can go from tropical beach to like city to swampy area and rainforest to the desert all within like a few hours of each other. It's not, okay, we're filming in Washington to get like the foresty areas, and then we're going all the way down to Texas and New Mexico for desert, and then we're going all the way up to Canada for snow. Like Australia, like you can do all that and then you're only a couple of hours away from everything.
Yeah.
So exciting to see more production scene.
Yeah,
no, not so much. Snow, you're going to have to travel. But everything else, all right here, like your city, ocean, beach, rainforest, and then desert, all nice and close.
Yeah.
And I guess now that we're getting, what did Russell Crowe just like establish on the go in Queensland? Like they just established some big new production studio.
Oh, he did? Oh, hectic.
Yeah, they just like partnered and made some big new, on the Sunshine Coast, some big new like movie production studio. So I definitely going to get a lot more stuff filming down here. So good time if you're in the industry.
Nice.
Yeah. In terms of your top recommendation for the week, I think we're probably pretty obvious on which one we're both leaning towards.
Yeah. Do you have to say it?
Go on.
Spiderhead. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Miss Marvel's good.
Definitely Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
So yeah, just we'll see how it wraps up. If the final 3 episodes are absolute trash, don't blame us. We recorded it before those episodes came out. So
Yeah.
that's on you. If the last 3 episodes are bad, that's on you.
I mean, good on you for trusting us, but yeah, no, we're only 3 in and we like it so far. So
yep. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Jaxon on TikTok at Jax_Carr. And you can follow me on social media at JamYaps Media and at Pario Magazine. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of JamYaps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamYaps Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Rena Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jaxon Carr, and Tracy Apps.